So initially I was going to do a 15500, 15400 comparison, but then I was like, bin that completely. Let me just go straight to the legendary 15202.
And it makes sense for you to do that, because if you were to compare a 15400 to 15500, dynamically, if you look at the sizes, they're very close. But if you would like to compare something different, it would make sense to compare it to a 15300 or a 15202. And in this case, you've chosen the 15202. And I'm sure it's going to be a privilege to talk about both of them together.
It's everyone's dream to get into a 15202. I mean, for someone like me, I just jumped into AP. Should I had the chance to get my first AP as a 15202, I know this is going to probably have you fall off the chair, but I would have looked at something else like a 15400 or 15500 still. And the reason being is that I just don't think it's as durable as a 15500. It wouldn't be my first watch, it would be my second watch.
Actually, to the contrary to what you said initially, I wouldn't fall off the chair. I actually agree with you. You know, it's not a watch that you'd want to wear all the time. In all honesty, as a collector, I would like to say that, you know, it's a watch that you wear from time to time, maybe on weekends. It's not a first AP for sure. If you're really getting into APs, I would not recommend anybody buying a 15202 as a first piece. Because if you're buying a 15202 as a first piece, you're going in for hype.
Sure.
And I will have to say that and put that down right from the beginning. The 15300, the 15400, both are beautiful pieces. 15500 is also a beautiful piece. Although I prefer the 15400 and the 15300 to the 15500, I like the automatic word written right below. I feel that it gives the dial a little bit more feel. But with the 15500, with the automatic writing vanishing off, I feel it makes the dial look a little broader. That's
sure.
me, I could be wrong. Other
Sure.
people may have a different opinion. But when it comes to you know, the 300, 400, 500, I prefer the 300 the most. That's because of the size.
Yeah.
And the 400 as well would be my second option, and then the 500, of course.
So if you can tell us about the different dial variations. I know that there is a mega tapisserie, the petite, and then there is the grand tapisserie that is in the 15500.
Right.
But just walk us through some of the main differentiators on the dial, on the case, on the bracelet.
In terms of the dials, of course, you see there is a difference in sizing. Firstly, when you look at it, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the mega tapisserie, which is on the offshore, obviously
They call it the waffle dial as well.
The waffle dial as well. That, of course, we're not talking about offshores today. But then you've got the grand tapisserie, which is also on the 400, 500. That you have, and then you've got the petite tapisserie, which is on the 15202. Obviously, what distinguishes this type of hobnail, we call it hobnail dials, from other watches is that obviously it's being made on a pantograph, and it's a 19th century innovation which is still in practice today. So kudos to AP for that, keeping in the history in place and still, you know, having to produce new pieces. Now when we come back to the movements, obviously you know there is a big difference whereby the caliber is a 2121 caliber based on a 920 JLC movement which was introduced in the early 70s with the 5402 Jumbo at the time. Also JLC, the same movement was being used in the 3800 from Patek Philippe and the 222 from Vacheron Constantin. Even though JLC didn't use this movement themselves, the Trinity used that movement quite frequently during those days. Right, so one more thing also that we need to add when we're doing these comparisons is obviously you see the 15500 having an AP logo at 12 o'clock and the 15202 having it at 6 o'clock. Although the 15202 had the AP logo at 12 o'clock, pre-2012. However, from 2012 on, it came back to 6, which was basically based on the Jumbo 5402. The other thing also to note is that you've got a second hand here in the 15500, and the 15202 does not have that. The third thing to note, also straight away that you see, is obviously the bracelet. So you've got the 15500 having a thick bracelet, and you've got the 15202 having a thinner bracelet. When we talk about bracelet as well, we cannot ignore the fact that this bracelet today is being made in-house, and in the past the 5402 was made by Guy Ferrer, who also is known to make many bracelets over the years, and was known for his basically innovation when it came to integrated bracelets. When we talk about 15202, it's either it or nothing. And
what are you saying? That I should bin this 5500?
No, actually, I'm not referring to 15500.
Right.
Why do I say that? It's either it or nothing is because if you look back to 1970 and 1969, where Estron came in, and Estron created the quartz crisis. AP took a very big gamble. They went out into the market. They stepped away from conventional mechanical timepieces. They went against odds at that point where watches were being made for specific purposes like diving,
Sure.
Going on to the moon and so on with Omega. AP gambled by making a sports watch, which was not a specific sport purpose. Rather, it was a watch which I don't even believe can be taken into the water very deep.
Sure. No, you're not swimming with this one, that's for sure.
And at the same time, of course, it was away from traditional watchmaking. At that time, when 31 mm's and 33 mm cases were a norm, they took a big gamble with the 39 mm or 38 mm ultra thin, which they have made.
Right.
So why I said it is this or nothing is because 15202, the movement is not changed.
Right.
It's caliber 2121 based on a 900 reference 920 caliber of JLC. There are 4 ruby crystals there to protect the rotor from hitting the movement.
Sure.
The other thing also that you do note on the 15202, it's Côtes de Genève. The Genève curves, or sometimes people call it as the Genève waves. That also talks about craftsmanship and the ultimate quality that's being put into high-end watchmaking. In terms of the caliber, as I said, it's a caliber 212, an identical piece which is from the past, which also, if you look at the rotor,
I mean, I see the 15202 is a full 360.
Correct.
Effortlessly.
Correct. But this one has a little bit of a break, and it takes more time to
Right.
turn. And that, again, we come back to the original design.
Right.
This is the original design of Genta.
Right.
And that's why, if you also look and you go back, you would notice that this steel watch was actually being sold for 10 times the price of a Submariner at the time.
Sure, yeah.
And also more expensive than Patek Philippe gold watches. 15500 is AP did something very clever here. They maintained 15202 being an historical piece. There is no other piece today which has that historical significance, and at the same time they created an internal in-house movement, which is for 15500.